Hey everybody, it's GauntletX and welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today I'll be playing another premiere draft of March in the Machine, the newest set on Arena. This is the gigantic war with the Phyrexians that is going to finally be ending in the Planeswalkers' favor. Speaking of Planeswalkers, we're going to pick one pack one Invasion of New Phyrexia, which is one of the new battle cards. The ways that these work is we're going to be playing the front half of the card, getting a bunch of 2/2 knights, and then if we manage to deal 6 damage to this battle, we get to flip it into Teferi, which does a bunch of pretty absurd things. So really powerful blue-white mythic rare here. We're going to try our best to play a blue-white knights kind of deck to go with this. 4 mana for 2 2/2s with Vigilance is fine. There's a common that is that spell. 5 mana for 3 2/2s with Vigilance is great, and this card just keeps getting better the more mana you dump into it. Doesn't really need to have a backside to be a great pick one, pack one, and that's what we'll roll with here. So pack one, pick two now. Got some pretty solid choices. Astral Wingspan's a fine way to get things into the sky. The Convoke is really important on the card. Ephara's Dispersal is a phenomenal piece of interaction. You can often spend just 1 blue mana to bounce an opposing attacking creature and Surveil 2, which is really good, and even for 3 mana, bouncing a non-attacking creature, the card is fine. Because it has that Surveil 2 attached. So I like the Dispersal a lot as interaction. We do have Order of the Mirror, which hits the important card type here. It is a knight. The blue-white deck in this format is focused around having a bunch of knights and some cards that can buff all your other knights up, stuff like that. So Order of the Mirror and Ephara's Dispersal and Astral Wingspan are my favorite 3 cards from the pack. I think I'm going to roll with the Ephara's Dispersal. I think it's just been a pretty impressive bounce spell so far, although it does seem to go pretty late in the draft pods too, so maybe I should just make sure I have a good amount of 2 mana creatures first. We'll go for Order of the Mirror. Still very early in the format, so not super sure on really close picks like that. For pack 1, pick 3, we have another Order of the Mirror. We have Omen Hawker, which is really fun if you have a lot of the flip cards like Order of the Mirror. It's kind of like your little soul ring for some mana ramp to use all these flip abilities a lot easier. So that's pretty fun. Blue-white dual land is fine. But I think my favorite card in this pack is probably Protocol Knight. 4 mana for a 3/4 human knight. When it enters the battlefield, you tap a creature an opponent controls and stun it if you control another knight. So this is really good at 4 mana in an aggressive knight-focused deck, which is probably where we're trying to be with Invasion of New Phyrexia. So I'll take Protocol Knight here. For pack 1, pick 4, we've got a pretty phenomenal battle. Invasion of Vryn, 4 mana to draw 3 and discard a card, already a fine value play. That is a Sift, which has been a powerful draw spell in many limited formats in the past. And then if we manage to deal 4 damage to this battle, then we can flip it into the Overloaded Mage Ring, which can copy one of our spells, including creature spells, which is really cool. So I'll take Invasion of Vryn here. I don't think there's much competing. Bond Warden and Kithkin Billy Rider both just look okay. We'll take Invasion of Vryn there. Pack 1, pick 5 now. Temporal Cleansing is a fine piece of interaction in blue. Putting a non-land permanent into the owner's library, second from the top or on the bottom of their library. So even if they put it second from the top, they have to spend some time redrawing it, so it's still basically a 1-for-1 removal spell. We could also take Swordsworn Cavalier, which looks great if we're trying to be super aggressive, and I do already have 2 battles. This would be a pretty nice 2-drop. If every creature in our deck is a knight, a 2 mana 3/1 that pretty constantly has first strike is actually kind of big game. Might go Cavalier over Cleansing again. Not super sure future how we make these picks as the format progresses, but actually we're so deep into blue, kind of okay taking Cleansing over that, because then we might not even be blue-white. We're probably blue-white. Most of our cards, well, several of our cards are like good knights, which are perfect for blue-white. But if we just stay really deep into blue and we find a different card other than Invasion of New Phyrexia that's super powerful to push into, we can. And this is really easy to splash because it gets stronger the later in the game you play it, so you don't need the 1 white mana until like turn 6. To be happy with it. That being said, pretty easily going to be Invasion of Belenon here. Nice little 2/2 knight. If we manage to flip the siege, then we get to have all our creatures get +1/+1, which is a nice anthem. So we do get to stick to blue-white knights there. Don't love the Halo Charged Scab, but I suppose it can theoretically put an Invasion of New Phyrexia back on top of our library, which is cool, but I don't think that's going to be going in the graveyard all that often. It's just going to sit on board undestroyed or unflipped. We could take Skittering Surveyor or the green-white dual land to be open to splashing around with different colors, or we could take Core Halberd, which seems like an okay equipment. Not phenomenal. I think I'd rather be open to some splashing if things show up. I'll just take a Skittering Surveyor. Pack 1, pick 8, we've got a really good combat trick, Angelic Intervention. 2 mana for an instant. Target creature planeswalker gains protection from colorless, or the color of your choice till end of turn. And if it's a creature, you put a +1/+1 counter on it. So you get to put a permanent +1/+1 counter on one of your creatures and counter any removal spells or win any combat or anything like that. Although there's a lot of stuff to spend your mana on in this format, so holding up a combat trick like this can be a little difficult. Holding up a combat trick with Convoke is really easy. This is much more impactful when cast, but Aerial Boost is much easier to cast. I'm actually going to go Aerial Boost here. I think that the Convoke style combat tricks have been really good and super big overperformers because you can cast them pretty often when your opponent just doesn't know you have anything up because you have 0 mana untapped, then just Aerial Boost out of nowhere to just ruin their day. So I'll actually go for the Aerial Boost as the combat trick there. Now we'll just keep taking the on-color cards. Wheeling a Wingspan there seems solid. Although it is a little expensive without the Convoke, but I think the Convoke makes this card perfectly worth it. Definitely better in blue-red though. It's easier to spit out a ton of creatures in that color pair. Disturbing Conversion is okay interaction. I think I'd be more interested in the Omen Hawker. In case we get a bunch of great abilities, this could be a lot of fun. Take the Omen Hawker there. Sad to see Yargle and Multani going that late. The card's very fun, but it is also kind of fair for it to go that late because it doesn't give you any kind of extra abilities or stuff. It's just a giant amount of stats on the card. So it could just get double blocked by a couple 3-power creatures and that's it. That's all your Yargle's done. I'll take the Knight here. Pretty good with our Aerial Boost. Send in for 6 damage after we give it +2/+2 flying for the turn. Kind of nice. Take the on-color creature there, although I don't think it makes the cut. We are pretty firmly in a blue-white Knights direction here, and now we've opened up one of the strongest rares in the entire format, Sunfall. 5 mana to exile all creatures and incubate X, where X is the number of creatures exiled this way. So you get this incubator token with +1/+1 counters equal to the number of creatures exiled that you can then flip for 2 mana and have a creature that is that large. So this thing's ridiculous. Sunfall just ends games very far in your favor, and we're definitely taking that card because we're already in blue-white. So we'll take the Great White Rare. All right, we're not going to take the sick black-red rare, although Rankle and Torbran teaming up is very cool. What do we have here? We don't have any Knights. We could take a Stasis Field or an okay removal spell. It does leave their creature on the board, so it's not great when you're super aggressive, but now that we have a board wipe and a gigantic late-game X-mana spell, we might just get more controlling and just want to play a bunch of early Stasis Field-style removal. I don't want to do too much splashing, but I could splash in like a Halo Forager or Invasion of New Capenna. They'd be okay. Could play Scroll Shift if I have a bunch of good Enter the Battlefield effects. Flicker one of our cards, draw a card, get its Enter the Battlefield effect. That's also fine. I think I'm just going to take a Stasis Field here. Again, I'm not like super pumped about it, but trying to be pretty controlling and just buy some time, play some draw spells towards Sunfall and Invasion is looking pretty spicy. All right, nice aggro Knight here, the Swordsworn Cavalier. I think we take that. I'm not a huge fan of this Assimilate Essence counterspell because of the fact that they could pay enough mana to still cast their spell later in the game. Yeah, I would prefer if this was just like Essence Scatter, was just 2 mana counter target creature spell, period. Doesn't need all that extra text. I guess it's theoretically more flexible because it can counter battles. Elspeth's Smite is probably fine interaction. 1 mana for 3 to an attacking or blocking creature. Doesn't really help against big late game threats, which is a lot of what's going on in the format, like big bomby stuff, but it's great against aggro. Is that better than the Cavalier? I don't know, I'm pretty low on 2-drops. I'm going to take the Cavalier. Pack 2, pick 4. Preening Champion is a Bird Knight. It's also a great card in terms of being 2 creatures off of 1 card to help you spread your board state out for any Convoke spells, which we have 1 or 2 of with Temporal Cleansing in the deck. And very good at just spreading blockers out as well, so I like Preening Champion a lot. Alabaster Host Sanctifier is nice, just a 2-mana 2/2 lifelinker. Drawn on Linval is cool, pretty powerful. Not really powerful enough to go out of our way to splash, though, because they're basically a 4-mana 3/4 Flying Vigilance. The extra text on this card is a little bit too narrow to be that valuable, but a 3-mana or a 4-mana 3/4 Flying Vigilance is still strong. It's not like necessary to splash levels of strong, especially when there's a really strong on-color card with Preening Champion. Pack 2, pick 5. Looks like a whole lot of nothing here. This just searches for an instant or sorcery, puts into her hand for 5 mana. That's a really bad deal. And if we flip this, all we get is to duplicate our instants and sorceries. That's super bad and limited. Pretty cool for constructed. Basically nothing I'm playing here no matter what. I guess Oculus Whelp is the closest. If we get a ton of Incubate tokens, those are transformed permanents once we flip them. And a ton of cards like Order of the Mirror, those are transformed permanents when we flip them. Battles are transformed permanents once they're flipped. So there's some ways to use that, but not a boatload. Furtive Analyst could be okay for digging towards bombs, and it's a fine blocker. Still rather just take a bunch of aggressive knights, ideally, but I'm not getting a ton of those right now. It's looking a little awkward. Now that invasion is a creature. Could also just take Dismal Backwater. I'm just going to take the Dismal Backwater. I've already got a lot of 3-mana creatures here. All right, another Swordsworn Cavalier. I'll take that over another Temporal Cleansing. Make sure I have aggressive 2-drop creatures. Another Skittering Surveyor as well. This pack's pretty good for us. Cleansing, Cavalier are great. And then if we didn't have either, we could take Surveyor. I'm going to take the Cavalier. Now I'll take a Temporal Cleansing. We're just going to get the option between Swordsworn Cavalier and Temporal Cleansing like a million times in a row. Now I've got 4 2-drops, which is looking all right. I think I like slowing my opponent down with another Cleansing. This point 4 2-drops is okay. Still want a little bit more, but we've got a whole 3rd pack to find more of them. Probably not playing Zhalfirin Shapecraft, but it's the only on-color card, so we'll scoop it up. Alright, don't think I'll be playing Scroll Shift either. Although it does have some pretty cheeky little synergies and combos in here. Like if I attack him with a Swordsworn Cavalier, and they block with something with 3 or less toughness, and then I scroll shift another knight that I control, give it first strike out of nowhere and draw a card, that'd be pretty cool, but it'd be kind of narrow. I don't think it would happen the most often. But it'd be really good if it was like Preening Champion or Protocol Knight. There's some great red cards here. Furnace Gremlin and Marauding Dreadship, both awesome. I'll just take the Gremlin for the higher rarity. Now another Halo Hopper that I would like to be able to cut by the end of this. I guess we will be able to cut it, but I'll leave it in the deck for now. We're at 24 cards already, so we already have a full deck. We just get to focus on making it better in the last pack. Probably looking for more creatures. We have 13 right now, and we're running 2 Halo Hopper and a Skittering Surveyor. Although, even if I'm just 2-color, I might still run Skittering Surveyor when I have a really big X spell of Invasion of New Phyrexia. Just drawing a basic land is fine value, even in 2-color. But if I get a bunch of solid cards, the Surveyor will get cut, but I'm going to cut the Halo Hoppers first. Take a Crystal Carapace there. If you ever want to see how many cards you own in your collection, you can just hold down the Alt key. That way you can draft stuff you don't have yet if you're trying to fill out your collection. So I'm going to take Invasion of Segovia here. I think it's an excellent battle because it's a battle that gives you the creatures to help flip it. So even if the backside wasn't super powerful, the fact that it gives you some creatures to help hit the battle is great. And the backside is really powerful. Giving all your non-creature spells Convoke is awesome, and it lets you untap 4 of your creatures in the end step to just untap everything that you convoked with and still have blockers up. So I love Invasion of Segovia. Corruption of Tawashi is also an incredible card draw engine, letting you draw a card every time you flip an incubator or flip a creature or flip a battle. It only does it once each turn, but it's pretty easy to do it once like every other turn and get a bunch of card draw off of it. So I think that card is great. Speaking of cards that are great, we've got an Alabaster Host Intercessor for a late game removal spell on a stick creature that can also plane cycle early, but there's also Yuta Takahashi himself, Fairy Mastermind, 2 mana for 2/1 Flash Flyer, already beautiful, already a great card, and if our opponent draws a second card during their turn, we get to draw a card as well, and for 4 mana we can have each player draw a card. So if we use that during our opponent's turn, then they will draw their second card for the turn, meaning that we will draw 1 card from Fairy Mastermind's 4 mana ability and 1 card for our opponent having drawn a second card. So Mastermind is excellent. It doesn't really need to say anything else after 2 mana 2/1 Flash Flyer, and it does have some relevant bonus text. So I think the card's really, really good. There's no Knights here. I'm already not super interested in a second Astral Wingspan. I think I'll take an Eyes of Gitaxias here, which is basically a very good value creature. For 5 mana total, you're going to be getting a 3/3 and drawing a card, and it's flexible in terms of when you want to spend that mana. 3 mana up front, then 2 mana later. So I like the card. Bola Slinger is also fine at helping like attack battles with that backup ability, but I think I'm a little higher on Eyes of Gitaxias for now. Pack 3, pick 4, we've got Tidal Terror for a solid late game threat that we can island cycle early game if we need to draw more lands. We've got Captive Weird, which is solid card draw. 1 mana for 1/3, but then later you spend 3 mana and 3 life, turn it into a 3/3, and exile the top card of your library. You can play it till the end of turn. Till the end of your next turn, so for a whole other turn. Yeah, I like Captive Weird as card draw. It's a 1-drop and a 3-drop all in one, too. Another Core Halberd or Cyber Cryptomancer. We don't have enough first strikers that Quende looks very exciting to me. I've got the 2 Cavaliers and that's it. I guess if we ever buff Quende, it's kind of cool, but I think I'd rather just have a Cryptomancer, nice little way to counter a removal spell or something. I don't know if either's going to make the cut. Same with like Halberd here. I don't think I'm going to have room for equipment. Let's take a... Well, I don't have a lot of 4s or 5s. We might try out Quende. They could be alright. I don't think I'm going to have a wide enough board state to be going for Inspired Charge finishes. I guess theoretically if I cast Invasion, but if I cast Invasion, I'm already in a great position. We've got Invasion of Xerex, though, which looks good. 4 mana to bounce a creature, put it back to its owner's hand, and if you flip it, get a pretty big Angel Knight. Not bad at all. Another Bird Knight, love me a Preening Champion. I think I'll take another one of these over another Captive Weird, but it's pretty close. The fact that this is a Knight is pretty nice, especially when we have Protocol Knight in here. That is the one card that really wants Knights. The Cavaliers also kind of want them, but Protocol Knight is dramatically better when we have another Knight on the board, so I'm going to make sure we take the Bird Knight. I think it's better than Billy Rider for sure. It's close with Captive Weird. Meeting of Minds is a fine card draw spell to dig for our other big bombs like Sunfall and Invasion. We can convoke it kind of easily, because now we have Invasion of Segovia for 2/1/1s, 2 Preening Champions make 2 creatures. But I also don't have a lot of big creatures. We could just take the big late game Knight. Might go Infected Defector. Play that over the Halo Charge Scab for sure. I don't think I'm playing an Oculus Whelp. I don't think I'm playing Halo Hoppers or the Skittering Surveyor. I'm going to get to make a lot more cuts than this, though. I'm not going to play any of these. I already don't think I'm playing these Zhalfir and Shapecrafts. I guess these are all right with our 1/1 elemental tokens that Preening Champion makes and our 1/1 tramplers that Invasion of Segovia makes. Still don't think I really want it. nor do I want scroll shift. 13 creatures and a few token producers still feels like not enough for Inspired Charge. But I don't think I'm running a second Wingspan. Another Oracle of Tragedy. We could just be all in on Oracle of Tragedy as our little draw spells. Basically draw 2, discard 2 if we play them and then chump with them later. Keep us protected in the early game. Feels pretty fine. An interesting deck to build. Alright, so here's everything we drafted in blue and white. We're going to go through and see what we want to cut here. We get to cut 13 cards out of the deck. First and foremost, I'm just immediately going to cut this Urn of Godfire. We're not going to need removal that badly, and the mana fixing on the card is not great. And then we've got an Omen Hawker. I don't think we have enough abilities to really make this card pop off. The idea is if you have a ton of Incubate, this can single-handedly flip your Incubate cards. It also helps flip your Transform creatures. But when we count up all the abilities that it works with, we have Captive Weird, Order of the Mirror, Fairy Mastermind. That's like 3 right there. And that's about it. We have potentially 1 Incubate token here that makes it 4 cards that it works with. 1 Incubate token here that's 5 cards. Doesn't work with Sunfall because it's going to get exiled to the Sunfall before it can give us the mana to flip the Incubator, really. I guess I could tap it and then cast Sunfall and then use the floating mana to flip the Incubator. So I guess it works with Sunfall. But it's like 6 cards that it works with, and when we don't have one of them on board, it does stone cold nothing. Just a 1 mana 1/1. So I'm going to cut the Omen Hawker here. Definitely going to keep the Captive Weird though. Flexible card, giving us an early blocker and a 3 mana threat that draws us a card later. So I like the Captive Weird there. At 2 mana, I like these Swordsworn Cavaliers as decent aggressive knights. Love the Fairy Mastermind. Again, nice flash creature, can get into battles really easily with the invasion, and nice flash creature can get into battles easily with the evasion, can be cast in response to our opponent trying to draw a second card, and then we can immediately get card draw out of it, so Fairy Mastermind's just sweet. Oracle of Tragedies are okay for digging to our bombs, but they don't really do too much else. They are fine 1/3 early game blockers, but I think our deck's looking like it wants more creatures with actual power early game, so I'll have those on the chopping block. I'm not going to insta-cut them like I did the 1 mana 1/1, but I think all of our other 2-drops are better for this deck, because these are also like not an important creature type or anything. When we go to our spells, I like the idea of Aerial Boost as a combat trick that we could play for free as a pretty big trick out of nowhere. It can also help send something into the sky to finish off a battle. Stasis Field is not the best removal ever, but we're pretty low on removal, so not going to instant cut it, but I'll put it to the side. The Shapecrafts, I think I will probably cut these. I mean, the fact that we draw a card off of them is not horrible, but just don't think they're the best combat trick ever. They're not really buffing things that much. It's going to be like +1/+1 or +1/+2 on our Swordsworn Cavaliers. The card draw is huge. If it didn't have the card draw, these would be just unplayable. So they're on the chopping block, I'll say. Aerial Boost is kind of borderline there. At 3 mana, we have Kithkin Billy Rider, which is fine if you have ways to buff it, but if you don't have a lot of ways to buff it, it's not going to do too much work, so I'm going to put it on the chopping block. Invasion of Segovia 100% stays in, a battle that gives us creatures to help attack the battle and does ridiculous things if it ever flips. The Breeding Champions definitely stay in. Evasive creatures, they're also the Knight card type, which is important, and they give us extra creatures. Halo Hoppers don't seem the greatest. Yeah, we can try to just spam out a bunch of creatures early, but there's 3/2s, so they're going to trade into anything with 2 power. And I don't think we're that hyper aggro that we really want to convoke these little frogs out that often, so those might even be insta-cuts. This is a 2-color deck that doesn't have too much stuff that needs a ton of mana, so I think Skittering Surveyor is definitely on the chopping block, maybe even an insta-cut. Invasion of Belenon's fine, gives us a nice little Vigilant Knight creature, and then if we flip it, we're going to be doing some great stuff. Does cost a lot of damage to flip it, having to hit it for 5, so it actually is probably worse than it looks, because trying to get this to flip is a lot of damage that's not going to our opponent's face, so we're probably just running this as a 3-mana 2/2 and not trying to flip it all that often. Actually, maybe I've overdrafted this card. It looks a little less exciting. I don't think it's on the chopping block, though. Scroll Shift is pretty narrow. I think that's going to get cut. Eyes of Vitaxias, great value creature. We'll keep that. Quende, again, doesn't really do anything except with Swordsworn Cavalier. Put that on the chopping block. Oculus Whelp, I don't think we have enough consistent transform cards for this to be great. If it was just a 4-mana 3/2 that drew a card when it died, it would be a solid card. It would be a decent inclusion. So if it ever doesn't draw you a card when it dies, it's just kind of really bad by modern limited standards. So you need to have a really consistent way to draw the cards off of it. So these battles are really hard to flip. Invasion of Vryn's also pretty hard to flip. Segovia we might actually flip, so it'd be like 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe like 6 transformed permanents when you count the incubators that are kind of consistent. So I'm not in love with the Oculus Whelp. It's definitely on the chopping block. Protocol Knight stays in. I love this card, even if our Knight count is going to be a little bit low. I think that the stun ability is absurd. Invasion of Xerox is a fine bounce spell. Invasion of Vryn is an okay card draw spell. It's a pretty good card draw spell. Doesn't do... Well, it actually does kind of quite a bit when it flips, but it is high defense again, so kind of hard to flip. And I do have a lot of battles. Might be pretty hard to be killing all these battles here. I might chopping block Vryn or Belenon, one of these two, with so many other battles. I think Xerox and Invasion of New Phyrexia are the best battles in this deck. So if we're going to cut some, it'd probably be one of these two. And 4 battles does seem a little bit high. I'll keep them all in for now, but I'm going to keep that in the back of my head. This Infected Defecker is really slow, but it is a Knight. I guess it's a Knight that we're going to play after the Protocol Knight anyway, and that's the only card, again, that I really need a Knight on the board for, so probably just really slow. And this might be a little bit greedy, but I kind of do like the idea of Halo Charge Scab being able to maybe mill an Invasion of New Phyrexia and pick it up. Not the best card ever, but I think I'm going to keep one of my 5-drops in, and I think I like this better than Defector. Could also mill a Sunfall and pick it up. That's insane. Okay, actually no. Yeah, because if we cast a Sunfall, and then we somehow are still not winning the game, if we draw into a Halo Charge Scab, we can just draw another copy of Sunfall. Alright, that might have convinced me there. We're definitely keeping Sunfall in, Invasion of New Phyrexia. Astral Wingspan, I do like it. I guess I've got a decent amount of Convoke with these 2s and 3s. Creatures to spread out. Can help kill a battle out of nowhere. I don't know about 2 copies, though. I might put 1 copy on the chopping block, so a lot of stuff on the chopping block here. For the creatures, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Actually, this doesn't count as a creature. I would definitely count this one, though. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 that are definitely still in the deck. Also Invasion of Belenon, 11. Eyes of Vitaxias, 12. Sunfall's sort of a creature. It's a giant creature after the board wipe, so we'll go like 13. Because one of these two, between Invasion and Sunfall, count as a creature. That could even count as like 14 creatures, so 15 to 17 creatures is usually where I like to be, so put my 3 favorite creatures back in the deck, probably. None of these creatures are really my favorites, honestly. I guess they don't have a lot of stuff at 4-mana. We'll try out Quende as the most fun card, and they do synergize with Swordsworn Cavaliers. That could be cute. Probably not the best, but we gotta fill the deck out with something here. There's 1 creature to put back in. Really don't like the rest of these creatures for this deck. So I can put in the Billy Rider. And I'll put in 1 of the Oracle of Tragedies, but I think those are going to be the weakest creatures in my deck. The Billy Rider, the Oracle of Tragedy, and the Quende. But fill it out with something there. I need to cut 5 more cards. Cut the Shapecrafts and the Scroll Shift for sure, and then 2 cuts out of these 2. Could keep the Stasis Field in, or keep 1 of the Astral Wingspans in. For interaction right now, I don't have a lot. I've got double temporal cleansing mainly, and then the Sunfall pulling a lot of work. I think I'd rather have a stasis field than both of the wingspans. I kind of still want one wingspan in those, so I might cut one of the weaker battles like Invasion of Rin. One of my best card draws though. Draw 3, discard 1. One of the best ways to dig through the library. Oh, I do have Invasion of Xerax, which does bounce a card. That is kind of some interaction there. Yeah, I like Wingspan a lot in here. We've got a lot of things to throw it on. Putting it on a Cavalier feels pretty great. We could do it kind of early. I guess I've got a lot of other 3-mana stuff to do. But I could cut this Invasion of Belladon if I'm really convinced that I'm just not wanting to flip it. Or cut this Billy Rider that I put in and just have a little bit lower of a creature count for this deck. Although if I'm putting the Wingspan in, if I ever get that on a Billy Rider, that's super fun. How much incidental card draw do I have if I don't play Invasion of Rin? Just a couple, right? We've got Astral Wingspan, Eyes of Gitaxias, Fairy Mastermind, Oracle of Tragedy for digging. It's an okay amount of incidental card draw. Still a big fan of this Invasion of Rin. Maybe I could cut the Oracle of Tragedy. 2 mana. Probably getting too cutesy with the Billy Rider. But let's get cutesy here. Let's do some fun stuff. I could cut a 17th land. Although the curve does go up pretty high. And I've got a big X mana spell. Big 5 mana spell I always want to have the mana for. I think I'm on 17 lands here. We'll cut an Oracle of Tragedy. Call it a deck there. Alright, here we have a look at today's deck, which is going to be a blue-white Knights deck. We don't have too many cards that care about specifically having a ton of Knights on board, but we do have some that are going to get some benefits. So that's the basic archetype, but mostly we're kind of just a blue-white good stuff in general. Decent aggressive curve where most of our creatures are Knights to help our cards like Protocol Knight specifically get a lot better, being able to stun things when it hits the board. But they can also help our Swordsworn Cavaliers attack as first strikers, which would be pretty cool if we've got a Quende on board, then they get to attack as double strikers. So some cutesy little synergies going on like that, but overall a very solid curve of creatures with some card draw creatures like Captive Weird that put us up a card. Eyes of Gitaxias is another card draw style creature that puts us up a card. Fairy Mastermind could be a card draw engine. Preening Champion gives us 2 creatures off 1 card, as does Invasion of Segovia. So lots of good ways to go wide and draw some cards while we're playing our creatures. We've got Invasion of Xerax as our first battle. That is going to bounce an opposing threat to help us hit this invasion, and then the invasion flips into a big old Angel Knight, which is very cool. We've got some more battles in here like Invasion of Rin for card draw, Invasion of Belladon for a decent early game creature, and Invasion of New Phyrexia as a giant bomb rare to put 1,000,000 Knights onto the board. So a lot of battles to be chipping away at with our flyers if we get into a board stall position. If we're not in a board stall though, most of the time we're just going to be trying to just pile into our opponent, hit them as hard as we can, but having the flexibility, having all these battles to do something with our flyers if we're not able to kill our opponent quickly is going to be pretty good value. We've then got a decent amount of interaction as always. We've got 2 copies of Temporal Cleansing to slow our opponent down, making them put their best card back into their library, second from the top or on the bottom. And then we've got Stasis Field, which can just shut off all the abilities of whatever we put it onto. And we have our best piece of interaction, which is Sunfall, which just completely wipes the entire board and gives us a massive incubator to close out the game after that. That's pretty much everything in the deck, except for our 2 ways to give things flying. Aerial Boost as a really nice combat trick we can cast for free off of Convoke, and Astral Wingspan, a big aura that we can convoke out as another way to give things flying. So again, giving things flying can break us through board stalls, can help us flip a battle really quickly, or if we're really lucky, can synergize pretty nastily with one of our double strikers to get a bunch of extra damage in. So pretty fun looking deck today. Without further ado, let's just head into the gameplay, see how it does. Here we are on the play for game 1, and I will keep the hand We've got a Sunfall in it, so we know what we'll try to do to win the game later on if the board state is not drastically in our favor. Sunfall will end up being our win condition. But we'll start things off with Captive Weird into Invasion of Segovia. Get some creatures rolling out here. Playing against a black-white deck, they start with a 2-mana 2/2 lifelinker. I could play a Kithkin Billy Rider into Protocol Knight now to curve out a little better. Would be fine. I'd like to wait to flip the weird until I know I can play whatever I flip. I guess I don't have much in my deck that's more than 4 mana, so I could probably just flip it right now, but... Yeah, I'll play the Billy Rider. We'll go Billy Rider into Protocol Knight here. This seems fine. I don't really want to just sandbag all my creatures and just not play anything, trying to get a huge Sunfall going. I think it's way too early to try to rely on that. We gotta wait till they're much lower on cards, to where it might look like we're just top-decking lands. Alright, well, let's see the trick to kill the Captivating Weird. But this is still a good attack for them because they just gain a couple life, even if they don't have a trick. So, do I Invasion of Segovia here, flip the Captivating Weird, or Protocol Knight? Because now if I Protocol Knight, I'm not even hitting them anyway. I think I'll flip the Captive Weird. We'll play whatever we hit off of it next turn, potentially. Get a Plains. Yeah, I'll play that next turn. I guess I should have not played my land for turn yet, but that's fine. I'll just hold it up as a 3/3 to block the 2/2, rather than chipping in here. Because we're not going to win a race against the lifelink. It's basically a 4-point life swing every turn. They go up 2, we go down 2. Whereas our completed Conjure just puts them down 3, so that's a 3-point life swing. So this hitting us is slightly more impactful than this hitting them. Temporal Cleansing looks pretty fine. I don't think I'm going to play that till after I end up Sunfalling, though. I don't really have a way to hit my Invasion of Segovia if I play it here. It's only exiles creatures, right? Yeah, so the Invasion's still going to be on the board after a Sunfall. Getting 2 1/1s is just going to make the Incubator even bigger. So this is fine, I think. Could send a Conjurer at it. Still 1/1s to block with, but I don't block these super well. Yeah, I'm not that into it. We'll pass turn. If they have the 1 mana up to use Completed Huntmaster in response to Sunfall later, we won't be able to exile everything because they can turn one of their creatures into an Incubator token. They don't have to immediately flip that Incubator token. So Incubators do survive a Sunfall. Skithiryx the Blight Dragon. They do not have the mana up right now to sacrifice something to Completed Huntmaster, and that is going to kill me with Infect in 3 hits minimum. If they play a single combat trick for +2/+2, that's going to kill me in 2 attacks. I think I'm just going to Sunfall here. I do not want to deal with Skithiryx. Card looks like a nightmare and a half, and we know that we can Sunfall without them getting the Incubator right now. Yeah, I'm just gonna do this. Skithiryx is too much. Not into it. Guardian of Ghirapur, just a 3/3 flyer. Invasion of New Capenna. Exile or Incubator token. Alright. Had a 2-for-1 themselves to kill the 7/7, so that's fine. They're down to 1 card left in hand. Okay. Well, Protocol Knight, not super exciting on an empty board, but will get us going here. They've got one card left in hand and we can Temporal Cleansing it. That's a 2/2 Incubator. Just flat out kill it with the cleansing. Do I kill it now or do I let them hit this invasion for 2? Turns into an equipment? Oh yeah, it's just going to be an equipment. I'm going to let them hit that invasion. I don't really care if they get an equipment right now. Deadly Derision, there goes Protocol Knight. Well, if I draw another land, I might have to just cleansing the 2/2. Because if I have a just completely empty board, then this 2/2 keeps attacking, getting more counters. I guess it only puts counters on your other creatures that share a type with it, so they have to have multiple Phyrexians on board for the equipment to do anything? Oh no, it does put a counter on that creature. Put a +1/+1 counter on that creature and each other creature that shares a creature type with it. Okay. It does keep getting bigger. Alright, we are fully in a top deck war here. Hopefully we draw a little better. We're 10 lands in, so we've got 7 lands left out of 24. Definitely have some gas in here. We got our big X mana spell we could find. Opponent hits Tymaret, which is big enough to kill Invasion of New Capenna, and it can gain them a lot of life. Exiling some cards from grave. Stops us from playing our 5/5 that mills 2 and returns a card, because they can just exile whatever we choose, so we're not going to get Sunfall back later, since they have a Tymaret. Another land. Pass a turn. They get to flip Invasion of New Capenna now, equip it to Tymaret, start getting a counter on that every turn. Exiling some stuff from their own graveyard. Drawn to Temporal Cleansing again. I guess so. Cleanse the Tymaret here. I'm going to keep this one land in my hand. If we draw into an Invasion of Vryn, that's draw 3, discard 1. If I hit 3 non-lands off that, I'd want to discard this island. We're not that excited about land number 11. Let's see where they put it here. They put it on the bottom. They would rather draw blind. Okay, Order of the Mirror, that's fine. Three with flanking. Whenever it becomes blocked by a creature, that creature gets -1/-1 till end of turn. So a 3/3 that competes with 4/4s. They've got a 2/2 flyer they can put the Frazzle Cannon on. It's going to be a 3/3 flyer the first time it attacks, then it'll be a 4/4 flyer, then it'll be a 5/5 flyer. Pretty spooky. There's the Halo Charged Scab. Tymaret's gone now, so whatever we hit we can pick up. So I could pick up Temporal Cleansing. I don't need it immediately though, so I think I'd rather attack first and then Halo Charged Scab. Because if they want to chump block here, that's cool with me. Okay, so let's Halo Charge Scab. See what we mill. Instant Sorcery or Battle. Alright, I guess we're just getting Temporal Cleansing back. Oh yeah, it's on top, not into our hand. Which is what makes the card not the bestest. But I have enough creatures here for sure to Just draw another removal spell next turn instead of drawing blind. Okay, bounce their creature and hit for 7, even if they cast a removal spell. Oh, yikes. It's a removal spell that makes a creature. It's a pretty good draw. Big 2-for-1. Well, I outraced the flyer. I think I just kill the incubator token. I guess they hit me for 4 next turn, so what happens here? I hit them for 7, they're down to 16, so it goes 16, I go down to 11, they go down to 9, I go down to 6, they go down to 2, and then I die. So I don't outrace the Sky Warden. But if I bounce the Sky Warden and they just put the Frazzle Cannon onto the Phyrexian, attack in with a 5/5, I have to double block to kill it. On the back foot, kind of either way, it looks like. If I bounce the cannon, then trade their 4/4 into Scab. The flyer keeps hitting me for 3 each turn. That doesn't really work well either. Especially because if I bounce the cannon, they can just put it back in their deck, then recast it, sack the treasure token, and exile something. Yeah, that would be horrific to bounce the cannon. Well, kind of a big nightmare. Guess I'm bouncing Sky Warden and holding blocks up. And we're just waiting to draw into something like my invasion. Really any of my invasions, the one that bounces or the one that makes a billion 2/2s. Tiller of Flesh. Get a counter on anything. They get an incubate every time they target something. There's that invasion. White, blue, 11 mana here. So 9 2/2s. Sure. Attack with everybody. They block and kill 2 of them and take 8. That's 16. Yeah, I killed them in 2 attacks. This doesn't attack in well right now anyway. Do I try to flip this? Draw 2, discard 2, give all your knights +1/+0, ward 1. I don't think I try to flip Teferi. I think I just attack them with everybody 2 turns in a row. They block 2 of them. 8 of them get through for 16 damage. Well, they're going for it here. They kill 2 of my 2/2s on a triple block. If I attack with everybody, they go block there, take 18. I'm going to have blockers up next turn too. I think I take this. Because these all have vigilance, so we can just trump next turn. Still at 11. Eyes of Gitaxias, that's a sweet one. Draw a card, incubate. I've got a 3/3 to block with as well. They're down to 4. Play a Scoured Barrens, go back up to 5. Let's make sure I don't die to a combat trick. Just trump with a 2/2. Down to 7. and they are going to scoop it up. So Invasion of New Phyrexia saves our butt off the top in the end. That was a really explosive game. We got to cast Sunfall and Invasion of New Phyrexia. That's some pretty nasty stuff for our opponent there. They got to cast the Skithiryx, which is probably not quite as rude as Sunfall or Invasion of New Phyrexia, but 4-power Infector with flying and regeneration, that's still pretty rude. We all got to do some explosive stuff. 1-0 heading into game 2. Here we are on the play for game 2. I think without a blue source, this isn't super keepable, because if I just play a Billy Rider, I'm not really doing much. And even if I do hit the blue source, I don't hit it in like the first 3 turns. It's going to be real slow. I'm going to mulligan here. Well, this is better. I guess we just scry away the white card for the mono blue hand. But it's kind of the same hand. Except this time our spells are all castable instead of only one of them being castable and 3 being uncastable. I guess it's the exact opposite. 1 uncastable card and 3 that are very castable. Get rid of the Invasion of Belenon, probably curve out Fairy Mastermind into Invasion of Segovia, because I can definitely flip the invasion in 2 hits if I get a 2/1 flyer on the board. Whereas Order of the Mirror, they might get a blocker out. No removal, no removal, no removal. Please. Well, no removal yet, at least. Yuta Takahashi lives another day. Our opponent's on blue-black. They have 3 mana up, 2 islands and a swamp. And they do have Vanquish the Weak. Alright, sorry, Yuta. I tried. Guess I could flip Invasion and play Eyes of Gitaxias all in 1 turn. That feels pretty good. Right, we can flip Invasion, play an Order of the Mirror, and still have 3 mana for Eyes of Gitaxias. Yeah, this is kind of explosive. Oh, I'm so close to being able to have convoked this and flipped my Incubator. That would have been super sick. Alright. Pretty explosive start to things here. We'll be chipping in for a lot of damage if our opponent doesn't get a lot of blockers out quickly. We get a 2/3 defender. There's a Sunfall if things go poorly. Probably just run out of Quende. Got a 2/3. I can attack with a 3/3. I guess I don't get to attack with anybody else if I don't flip the Order of the Mirror. I could flip my Incubator and play a Cavalier and attack with these 2, and that would give me another 3-power creature to attack with next turn. Then I can play Quende to make that a double striker next turn. That actually seems kind of solid to me. They're going to bounce one of my attacking creatures. It's very good against tokens, like my 3/3 token. Oh, they're going to -3, -3, my 3/3, sure. Alright, drop the Cavalier, pass the turn. Invasion of Olgrotha, there goes my 3/3. Or my Order of the Mirror, because it's potentially a bigger 3/3 later. Cool. Temporal Cleansing. I could just get rid of their blocker. Attack with everybody. Yeah, save Quende for next turn. Seems fine. Hit for 7 here. Oh, they put it back into their deck. They must not have a lot of gas left in their hand if they need to redraw 2/3. Feels like a pretty great aggressive position if they are keeping the 2-mana 2/3 later. Yeah, they're gonna Meeting of Minds to just play a land and play it again. Alright. Fine by me. Oh my god, we're just gonna bounce it back to their hand with our top deck to battle now. Put them down to 6, but I think I'd rather get a Gigantic Flyer. The Vertex Paladin. Yeah, they're just going to scoop them up. That was just really good aggro stuff that game. Opponent did not have a lot of early game creatures, so we just curve out with a bunch of explosive stuff. In that game, really showing off the power of Invasion of Segovia. Being able to get 2 1/1s and a 3/3 off of one card for only 3 mana, even if I had to lose some damage to do it. That's just a lot of stats on the board for just one card. So we are 2-0 now, heading into Game 3. Here we are in Game 3. Not a great hand mana-wise. Do have a Fairy Mastermind to play at least. Can convoke a Temporal Cleansing. We're on the draw. Need a Plains for Bellinon. Any 2 lands gets us to Protocol Knight. I'm going to keep this on the draw, but it's really close. It's not a great hand. A lot could go wrong. But there are some things that could go very right. Like if my opponent plays a card draw spell early. It looks like they're a green deck, so probably not a ton of those. Alright, there's the Plains. Play a battle that lets you discard a card to draw a card, please. I would be so into it. No, just play a 1/1 mana ramp dork. Sure, alright. Fairy Mastermind it is. Now we drop Invasion of Bellinon. I guess I could Temporal Cleansing the Mana Dork. Rather just get a 2/2 on this board. Five damage is a lot. Here's where I'm really unsure that I'm supposed to attack the invasion, but I'm still gonna do it. Because if it flips and then we play this, we get a bunch of 3/3s with Vigilance, which is super absurd, so I guess I'm gonna try to flip this. But yeah, we're basically letting them gain 6 life by sending 6 damage to that invasion instead. Javelineer, just put that back into their library. Play a Billy Rider instead. I'd rather just put that back in their library. It is going to be second from the top, so they are going to redraw it. But that means potentially no reach creatures this turn, which is enough to flip the invasion before they recast that. Alright, Hanger Scrounger is not a reach creature. It is going to put 2 +1/+1 counters on one of their creatures with the backup ability, thanks to Kami of Whispered Hopes, though. Make the Rotten Tail a 3/3 Vigilance? Okay, that is actually kind of nasty. Thrashing Frontliner, alright, not a reach creature either. Invasion of Segovia is the draw. Well, I think that's the play, because that's going to be 2 2/2s, because we're going to flip the Invasion of Bellinon. Now we have a 3/3 Vigilance and 2 2/2s. 3/2 in the sky. If I hit 1 more mana, we can Protocol Knight down the Javelineer, which is going to let us flip the Invasion of Segovia as well, which can let us just convoke all of our non-land cards after that. Should be a really nice position. Alright, that's not the mana we need. Probably Eyes of Gitaxias here to try to draw into it. There's the mana. So we pass the turn. I'm at 14, and they can start shooting me for 2 with the Javelineer or attacking me with it. Serpent's Blade Assailant, so they're going to get an excellent attack in this turn, giving one of their creatures Death Touch and 2 +1/+1 counters. I will not have a Knight on the board anymore if I trade my Knight token into that, which is going to make Protocol Knight much worse if I go for that next turn. Pretty sure I'm playing a Protocol Knight next turn. So I think I'm taking this damage. Okay, I'll double block the Rotten Tail though. Ooh, we get the card draw. I forgot because they just did the card draw thing. Thank you, Fairy Mastermind. Very cool. Yeah, if I double block Rotten Tail, we only lose one of our creatures, but they do have the mana to then put 3 +1/+1 counters on a card thanks to Kami. Which I don't want to see happen. Maybe I am just trading 2 creatures into the Scrounger. Significantly reduces our amount of Convoke. If I ever flip Invasion of Segovia. I think I might have to just be fully on the defensive here. Start going for all the blocks and trades I can get. Because we're going to take so much damage here if I just let that all in. And Javelineer is going to keep chipping for 2 a turn. Do hit another land. Can make 3 3/3s off Invasion of New Phyrexia. Pretty defensive. I could also play the Billy Rider for a 2/4 Death Touch and flip my 3/3. I could also just play a Protocol Knight and play nothing else. Locks down the Javelineer, gives me a 4/5. Definitely not on Invasion of Vryn. I think I'm going to go for the Protocol Knight here. Take my 2 damage, go to 9, but then I have a 4/5 and a 3/3 as blockers. 4/5 goes on the 3/3. 3/3 goes on a 2/2. I take like 3 damage if they attack with everybody if they don't have a follow-up line. So we'll see if they've got some follow-up here. Fingers crossed, hopefully not. We've got to find another way to deal with that Javelineer quickly, or that's just going to keep shooting me. If I can flip Invasion of Segovia, I can just make 1,000,000 Knights and try to win off that, try to outrace the Javelineer. So I can convoke out Invasion of New Phyrexia and just dump all of my mana into that. Oh, Storm the Seed Core, Overrun. Hello, I guess we're dead. Could survive barely, but it involves not killing any other creatures. Take 0 damage there. Take 5, take 9. I have to stop at least 1 more damage. And then I'm going to die to Javelineer. Even if I block here, I'm stopping 2 damage, I'll be at 2 life, and then Javelineer untaps and kills me. Now I'm not even going to have creatures out to convoke the invasion. I guess I'm at 3, not 2, so I miscounted. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 5/5 trample. 1, 2, 7. I have to be able to double block the 5/5 and block everybody else, which means I can't afford to Invasion of Vryn or I won't be untapping my whole board. So we have to pass from here. My only out is to draw into Sunfall, but if I tap out for Invasion of Vryn, I untap 4 creatures. I'm going to have 1, 2. I guess I'll have 1 plus 4. I'll have 5 creatures untapped against their 6, and I'll die. I guess 5 creatures untapped against their 5, because Javelineer's just going to tap to put me to 1. That's still not good enough because I have to double block Frontliner. Yeah, I can't Invasion here and survive. We've got 1 turn to top deck a Sunfall. Oh, never mind. If they attack with their whole board, I'm pretty sure we're dead. If they only attack with that, I can just block it with everybody. That's 14. Yeah, if they attack with everyone, we're dead. All right, they're going to give me a top deck. They're going to give me a turn to draw a Sunfall. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yep. Stasis Field is not going to do it. Because I don't have... I could have 4 blockers in Stasis Field, I guess? But they can just put 3 counters on their Trampler and I die. So yeah, Stasis Field doesn't do it. I can still try. Maybe they won't attack with everybody again. Maybe we will find an additional Mist Lethal. Four blockers against 4 attackers, but one of those attackers is going to be a Trampler that's big enough to kill me if I have to block everybody else. And that is how we are dead on board here. They missed lethal again. Alright, we get 1 more draw step to hit Sunfall. Okay. I can't kill the Fearless Scald, unfortunately. Because I have to block Frontliner with 5 toughness to not die. Gwende is not very good. Guess it's slightly better than playing the Billy Rider here, since I can only play one card this turn no matter what. I need them to have 0 removal. We need to just be able to hold up both blockers. I guess Billy Rider's higher toughness, but if they have a removal spell that's going to kill a 2 toughness creature, they can just kill Mastermind and kill me. Put a Temporal Cleansing back on top of my library, or Invasion of Segovia to redraw next turn with Halo Charge Scab. Maybe drawing Invasion of Segovia is worth it here. I can only play one blocker anyway. Sure. Yeah, that's going to be 2 2/2s in the future. It's pretty huge. Yeah. I'll put that back on top. Zero removal spells off the top, fingers crossed. Valduk, Keeper of the Flame. If they hit some equipment, we're gonna mega die to that. Make some tramplers each turn. Yeah, that's not what we like to see. Let's put an Invasion of Segovia on them. And play a Billy Rider. Now I have 4 blockers even if I attack with Mastermind, which means I think I chip into the... Both of these flip in 2 hits. Do I try to flip to Fairy then? I can't really afford to use the minus to tap untapped creatures. Could do the draw though. I almost feel like I'd rather just flip another creature that lets me untap my board state than flip it to Fairy right now. So it lets me get attacks in while holding up all the blockers. Could let me cast Quende and Invasion of Rin in the same turn, potentially. Cosmic Hunger, kill my flyer. Sure. Now I will not be flipping anything. Drop Invasion of Rin, because I have 4 blockers to their 3 attackers. So I think I do have time to draw some cards right now. Draw, 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 discard 1. Get to play a Captive Weird here. Definitely will never get to flip it, but do get to have it as a blocker. Don't really have attacks. These just die into Scald. This or this would trade into it. I guess I force them to trade or chump block. They could just chump with Javelineer though. Yeah, they're gonna chump with Javelineer, fair enough. Hopefully they don't have one of those like 5-mana green creatures that returns a creature from grave to hand. That would get us killed. I guess I could Invasion of Xerax and bounce the Javelineer to buy a little bit more time, but that would probably kill me. Invasion of Muragonda. Alright, not quite dead, but that's really bad. We made sure to leave enough creatures on board to not die to an immediate removal spell. Okay. I don't really want to bounce the Scald. It's so big that it's going to be really hard to kill it, but if I bounce it and let them replay it, they get to put a +1/+1 counter on Double Strike and Double Strike on a different creature. 2 +1/+1 counters and Double Strike on a different creature because of the Kami, so they make this a 5-power Double Striker, so we're just still going to be hit by a 5/4 Double Strike if I bounce this. Just the Valduk instead. do have the mana to bounce a creature and play Quende. I don't really want to bounce my own Halo Charge Scab. Yeah, no, I don't think I do. Am I bouncing a Valduk? Just forcing them to recast that? Might just be passing. Yeah, I'll just pass here. Alright, they get a treasure token. They can discard a card to draw a card. I was gonna say if they do I draw a card, but that's false. They killed my fairy mastermind a while ago. Weary Thespian to surveil 1. They are gonna mill a land. $14 cards left. There is a Sunfall in there somewhere. What are our other outs? All of our flyers are phenomenal. We have 2 Preening Champions still. And an Astral Wingspan. So we have 4 really big outs out of these 13. Sunfall, Astral Wingspan, and 2 Preening Champion. I feel like making them replay Valduk at this point does buy us a little bit more time. Draw into something. Makes it less likely that they just find a big enough removal spell to kill us immediately. Beamtown Beatstick? Yeah, we would have been dead if I didn't bounce Valduk that exact turn, because they would have just put a Beatstick on it. They would have had 5 attackers, one of which had Menace, and we would have been dead on board. Well, that was a well-timed invasion of Xerax. I've got 1 draw step to get out of this. And it basically has to be Sunfall now, because they can just put Menace onto their double striker and make us sacrifice almost our whole board to kill it. But we would have been straight up dead if I didn't bounce Valduk. Astral Wingspan is the draw. I have to hit Sunfall. So I need to hold 5 mana up after the Wingspan. I can use the Wingspan to send Quende into the sky to flip any of these. I guess I could flip Invasion of Segovia and then untap my board. And then I don't have to hit Sunfall immediately, but I could also flip to Fairy. And use the draw 2, discard 2 to find Sunfall. This is hard. I'm gonna flip Invasion of Segovia, I think. Three, 4, 5. Find a Preening Champion? Oh my god, we're gonna have so many creatures. I have to flip this to untap my board now. I can't just play Preening Champion and have enough blockers to live through this. So I can't just hit them for 10 twice. I can do that after I flip this. Then the plan is to hit them twice in a row for 10. I'm going to hold this in case I want to flip it to Fairy to draw 2, discard 2. It gives me another card to discard. Alright. That's a pretty big board. does that just kill me? It looks like it does. Trample, haste, gigantic thing? No, because I can block it with a 5/5 double strike. Okay. That does not just kill me, even if they give it menace. Pretty threatening, though. If I hit them with Quende, I still have it up as a blocker, and then I just kill them next turn. Think it's better to do that than play Teferi? Although if I play Teferi, I do still untap Quende and hit him with it next turn. Again. With 8 blockers, 5 creatures, 1 with menace, 6 creatures, 1 with menace with Valduk. 1 more blocker than we'll need. If they find a way to deal with Quende, though, I'm not going to be able to block Rampaging Raptor and survive. So hitting them with Quende puts me dead to removal off the top, but if they don't hit removal off the top, we just win. Because we hit them for 10, then hit them for 10. Alternatively, I choose Teferi, draw 2, discard 2. It's going to take longer to kill them, but then I might find Sunfall. But it's a 1 out of 5 to find Sunfall. Out of these 10 cards. Because I'll dig a 5th of the way through the deck. I guess it's not a 1 out of 5, it's a 2 out of 10? Yeah, that's a 1 out of 5, right? I don't know. I'm just going to try to kill them in 2 hits here. They have to hit removal just right now. It's going to be the act of treason. Steal Quende till end of turn. It's hopefully a desperation swing, but if it's some kind of combat trick that kills me, that's going to be rough. This thing's got trample, so if they kill Quende at instant speed, I think I want to put more blockers on it just in case. That would give me 1 extra opportunity to hit Sunfall if they kill Quende instant speed in response to this block. Now I have enough toughness to not just die to Raptor. All right. Ooh, that was a really close game. Our opponent played it really, really safe earlier. Probably playing around maybe instant speed Convoke or something. And just didn't attack us for lethal a couple times, and that is going to cost them the game in the end. We get really, really lucky being able to drag that out. But yeah, we were dead on board a couple times, but we did have cards in our hand, and we had a Cadus on board. So they could have been playing around instants with Convoke, because we were tapped out, but technically could have tapped some creatures to cast something on a couple of those attacks, I think. So, all right. Yeah, that was a game and a half of Magic there. We're now going to be 3-0 with this deck as we head into game number 4. All right, here we are for game 4. Bit of a slower start, but I think it's decent. It's got good value with Eyes of Gitaxias. Don't really like the Billy Rider and Quende too much, but Quende did win us last game. We've got an Invasion of Xerex for turn 4. What plane even is Xerex? I don't think we went there before. That looks pretty wild, all these colorful, gigantic insects and stuff. Portent Tracker is the turn 2 play from our opponents. They are going to be ramping up. They're already on the play. Now they're on the play, plus have a mana dork on board. So they're going to be playing 4 mana cards while I have 2 lands on board, 5 mana cards while I have 3 on board. Probably going to be on the defensive here. We've got a slower hand in the first place, too. Oh, they're really ramping. Erixmathes adds green-blue, and they can untap it with the tracker, so yeah, we're miles behind in mana. I'm going to play Eyes of Gitaxias because it doesn't look like they're going to attack too much here, and I need to hit more lands. That's 7, that's 8 mana if they play another land. Just immediately. We might be about to get crushed by some massive spells, but we'll see. Definitely going to get crushed by a 12-12. They only have to cast 5 spells to awaken that. Yeah, that's just a straight up 12-12. Alright, well, we're going to have to Temporal Cleansing that, which means it's going to get 1 attack off guaranteed, because Cleansing is a sorcery and I can't target it until it's no longer a land. Do hit the 4th land. Xerox only targets creatures as well. Not loving my options right now. Don't really want to bounce anything until this turns into a 12-12. But I also can't really play anything that impacts the game too much. So I'll just play Quende. I don't know about the Plane of Belanon either. Looks like they have a lot of Elephant Warriors, which is awesome. I love Loxodons. I gotta look up the lore of all the planes that we're invading. Alright, well, goodbye, Quende. Now they can immediately flip the invasion as well, because it's the removal spell to clear the path to hit it, and then the 6 power of creatures. That'll be a 5-5 right now. Yeah, this hand is way too dirtily to compete with this level of ramp into explosive plays. This does count as casting another spell, so that's going to remove another counter from Erixmathes. So they are definitely attacking me with a 12-12 next turn. So we're about to chump block. And then probably die to the other creatures. Well, we know we're going to chump block, so I guess I might as well get 2 chump blockers. They don't have a 5 mana or less spell to play to hit me with a 12-12 here? That was wildly unexpected. None of these cards cost 5 or less. Well, I don't have good blocks for this either. So I guess still take a million. Well, they did have a 5 mana or less card. I guess they just didn't feel like attacking with a 12-12. Fair enough, I guess. Yeah, I mean, that was a little weird, but we're still super dead, so it doesn't really matter. Yeah, I can't really afford to bounce a Rixmathes and block anything else profitably at all. Guess. I mean, I could play like a Billy Rider and Cleansing, Convoking some stuff, but then I don't have enough blockers to live. I think no matter what I do, I don't really have enough blockers to live. But this way, I guess I get to Aerial Boost and kill Inga or a 3-3, and then chump block a 4-4. Theoretically go to 1. That puts me down on board. It's 11 damage. Yep. Alright, well, that game was pretty nasty. Opponent just had the Dream Ramp hand, Portent Tracker, Rixmathes to just play a million mana worth of spells super quickly. So we are going to be 3-1 heading into game number 5. Here we are for game number 5. Opponent's on the play, so we're on the draw here. 1 land gets us to Invasion of Segovia. We can then convoke a Wingspan onto Cavalier, which would be nice. I think I am going to keep here. I've been drawing some really low mana hands, which is kind of weird because we are on 17 lands. Just had to double check there. I was not paying attention to what I drew into there. We obviously should have played Captive Weird. Multitasking, ho, let's go. Halo Hopper is the play. This is fine. We're still on Invasion of Segovia. And pass the turn, making our Cavalier Flyer and flipping Segovia next turn. Chomping Kalu. Big dork. Alright, we are hitting all of our lands here, which is great. Can go Captive Weird. Astral Wingspan the Cavalier. Flip Invasion, untap my board. Alright. Luckily, it didn't matter that we didn't play Captive Weird turn 1. Because I wouldn't have flipped it by now, I would have just been playing Invasion of Segovia. Alright, Kithkin Billy Rider, do they have removal for Cavalier? They do. But I can put that back on top of their library and hit them for some damage before they recast it. They'll have to skip a draw step to redraw their removal spell. That feels pretty good. I think I'm going to Temporal Cleansing their removal spell there. Especially with Cadus to untap the board. So I can play Protocol Knight and Temporal Cleansing pretty easily. Could also do Protocol Knight plus Invasion of Vryn. Or Invasion of Vryn plus Temporal Cleansing and save Protocol Knight for if they play a flyer. Sure, let's go Invasion of Vryn first. See if we draw any other non-creature cards. Oh, Invasion of New Phyrexia? That's going to be so disgusting. It's going to be completely filthy. I'm going to discard a Cavalier. Temporal Cleansing. How does this work? Does this copy X? I think that copies the X on the stack, so I could double Invasion New Phyrexia next turn. Oh my god. Yeah. Let's flip Invasion of Vryn and then untap all of our creatures again. And then we'll just double Invasion of New Phyrexia with full Convoke next turn. No way, they've got a 1-mana Convoke removal spell. Aww. Or not 1 mana, but 3 mana or less. That sucks. Alright, that was really sad. At least I still get to Convoke out an Invasion of New Phyrexia, I just don't get to double it. It's still going to be nasty. Alright, they're going to hit me for 4 in the sky, that's fine. I think I'm going to wait on this invasion until I have all my creatures on board and I can just Convoke it an absurd amount. I could flip the weird and play Preening Champion. Hold up Protocol Knight for later. And that'll still get me 2 more creatures for the invasion here. Should have waited on my land if I wanted to flip the weird. I'm very bad at doing that. But that way if we hit a land here, we play that as land for turn. Alright, well we'll play that for land next turn. Still be fine. And they're just going to pass the turn. They are not on blue, so I don't expect any counterspells. Wow. Drawing into another Preening Champion is definitely going to make me want to postpone the invasion of New Phyrexia, because I'll have many more creatures next turn. Might even flip Invasion of Vryn next turn and double Invasion of New Phyrexia as well. Depends on if this attack gets in. Or if they have another removal spell alongside their Realmbreaker's Grasp. Aerial Boost, same thing. They do have another basically removal spell here. Alright. Well, we're not going to flip Invasion of Vryn then. All they have is Realmbreaker's Grasp? Alright. We know what their hand is, and we know that this is just going to kill them. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14? X equals 14 2/2s? Is this the biggest invasion of New Phyrexia yet cast? 14 2/2s casually? Invasion of Moog. Gets to put a +1/+1 counter on all their creatures, but I mean, they're going to take like 30 damage or more next turn. Alright, well, Convoke alongside Invasion of New Phyrexia is super, super deadly. If Invasion of New Phyrexia weren't already deadly enough, and that is going to put us to 4-1 now, heading into game number 6. Here we are for game 6 on the play. I really don't like this hand. It has, again, 2 of our slower, dirtier cards, 3 of them, really. And then Eyes of Gitaxias is the only way to try to draw into some better stuff. I'm going to take the mulligan here. It's pretty slow, and if I don't hit the land immediately, I'm not playing anything. This looks better. Fairy Mastermind on turn 2, Preening Champion turn 3, save Invasion for late game. Both of these already have flying, so I think I'm ditching the Wingspan. I want to keep a lot of lands for Invasion. Tranquil Cove, turn 1 from our opponent. They are on blue, so they might have some card draw to trigger our Fairy Mastermind. That would be beautiful. Okay, that doesn't draw a card immediately, but it could later. Preening Champion's going to be very good against that. Getting a 1/1 on the ground against their 1/1 Death Touch seems pretty premium. Flitting Gorilla. So much for our flying attacks now. I guess I can still send in the Champion. That'd be a fine trade, but I don't really want to send in Mastermind. Alright, we are going to get the trade out of the way. I think it is worth it to start using Fairy Mastermind because we draw 2 cards, they draw 1 off of that ability. Stasis Field, alright. Yeah, so you draw 1 card, I draw 2. How this works. Pretty worth it. Well, show me the trick to kill my 1/1. Saiba Cryptomancer. Pretty happy to get that out of the way. Eyes of Gitaxias. Draw a card, make a 3/3. Seems solid to me. Drawn to a Swordsworn Cavalier. I think I'd rather flip a 3/3. They have to flip the Aetherblade Agent to attack in right now. I guess they still have to flip it to attack in a Cavalier. Sure, we'll play the Cavalier. Transform the agent, send it in, jump with the Mastermind, counter their card draw. Let's go Captive Weird, flip it, see what we might get to play next turn, and then I'll still have the mana up to flip my 3/3. Gwende Pride of Femeref, that's not incredible. Protocol Knight. Tap and lock down one of my creatures. Tap and lock down the Conjurer, sure. Play a tap land, gain a life. Take the 2-for-1 trade because the alternative is that they get a 2-for-1 by drawing extra cards. I'll drop the Gwende. That can trade into the Protocol Knight. We'll just waiting to cast Invasion until I need to, so we can get as many 2/2s as possible. Right now we'd be getting like 5 of them. Halo Forager, that recasts an instant or sorcery, so Temporal Cleansing. Oh, they can cast one from our grave? That is busted. Good lord. From a graveyard, wow, yeah. That is super good. 6 2/2s. They just kill one with Protocol Knight, trade one into the Halo Forager, kill one with their 3/3. Only 3 of them actually do anything. It's just not enough with just lands alongside it. I'm just gonna hold off. Get as greedy as possible on the 2/2s. Alright, take 6. No flip of the Incubator. They've got some kind of instant here. This is not a lot of spells. So we kind of have to do this now. They have the counterspell too? Great. I'm not technically dead yet. Get one trade in here. And I can't live. Well, that was pretty brutal. We are 4-2 now, moving into game 7. Here we are for game 7. Got a Sunfall to work towards. Pretty low on mana. Captive Weird can try to find a 4th land if we hit the 3rd. Digs us another card deeper. I'm going to keep here. Do hit the third land. There's a portent tracker from our opponent. Let's go Invasion of Segovia, get a couple creatures out. That makes Temporal Cleansing really easy to cast and gives us some creatures to attack our battle with. If they don't need any mana ramp, they could use the portent tracker to defend the Invasion of Segovia. It only adds 1 counter and does it at sorcery speed though, so I'm not super worried about that. Serpent Blade Assailant. Buff the tracker. Now they have a 2/2 to defend the invasion. Could just bounce it here. Put it back into their library, and their +1/+1 counter's gone forever. Their mana dork doesn't give them any mana next turn. I think I like that, and I'm cool to go Invasion of Belenon and then Convoke Bounce, just attack the invasion with 1/1/1. Okay. The 1/1 goes to the bottom of their library. Rather flip Invasion of Segovia first, I think. It's just easier to flip it. I guess if we flip Invasion of Belenon first, then it makes our creatures bigger, which helps flip the other battle faster. We do have a relatively wide board state. I just think a green-red deck is going to have enough beefy creatures that it's going to be hard to flip either of these. So we should probably just go for the ones that are easiest to flip first, and drawing into Invasion of Xerax there was beautiful. Bounce Renata. They can trade into our 2/2, but then we put the invasion down to 1 loyalty now. 1 defense, I should say. Just gotta get a single 1/1 in, and it'll flip. So I could, if they just replay Renata, now I can flip Captive Weird, attack Invasion of Segovia with 2 1/1s, and then attack a different battle with Captive Weird. Or if they play War Historian, that works too. So let's go Captive Weird, flip. Find a Stasis Field. I guess I should probably cast that on War Historian while I have the mana for it. Now they get a chump block with it. Because if it's just exiled, then they might just play removal next turn instead of playing a creature, and then the Stasis Field is exiled forever. I think I'd rather play more creatures than buffing up the current ones. Plus, by hitting the Invasion of Xerax, this is going to be down to 1 defense, so a single 1/1 flips it again, which is great. Herbology Instructor. For 6 mana, they can flip that and remove something. Give something -3 toughness. Pretty good. It's a 1/3 as well, so it can kill one of our 1/1s. They have 2 blockers total. Block this, block this. Kill a 1/1 and block another. One of these flips no matter what. We attack like this, unless they have an instant removal spell. Sandstalker. Well, at least we didn't play a blue spell this turn. That was a pretty excellent turn for our opponent. Don't make me angry, I might have to Sunfall. Yeah, I'll just pass. I think we might be pushing our way towards Team Sunfall, because one land, they're going to flip Instructor and kill my 3/3, and I'm really not attacking any battles, even with a Quende on board. Invasion of Muraganda. There goes my 1/1. Rise of Gitaxias? Sure, let's draw our card. Fairy Mastermind. Flip this at instant speed so I can choose between Fairy Mastermind and flipping the 3/3 later. Okay, they're going to flip that into a 3/3, which means flip it into a 4/4 and kill the Conjurer. They're going to pass the turn. War Historian does not have reach anymore, so Mastermind can flip either battle. So we'll play the Mastermind. I'm going to get another flyer. Still going to hold Quende for a post-Sunfall board state. I'm going to play the Order so that I buff up the flyer, but I don't really think my ground troops matter too much, so I'm going to just play the weakest ground troops just to buff the flyers and make them better. Mainly, I mean, the Vertex Paladin is the one that gets buffed for having more creatures. Rampaging Geoderm. Very good at attacking battles. Turns into a gigantic ooze. Alright. Send both of them at the Invasion of Muraganda here. I don't think I can block super well. Could trade a 3/3 and a 2/1 into the 4/4 and let the invasion take 4 damage. If I double block Invoker with a 3/3 and a 4/4, they can only kill one of them, but they could kill the flyer, which I don't like. I guess I should kill the Geoderm if I'm going to kill anything here. Yeah, we'll kill the Geoderm like that. Could trade into both, but again, I really don't want to lose this Vertex Paladin right now. Threshing Frontliner. The only card left in their hand is Renata now. So I'll probably let them flip the invasion, let them cast the Renata, and then Sunfall and win from there. That's the plan. Okay, play a land, play a Renata. I'm going to have each player draw a card when they go for this attack, so that if they hit something else castable, they'll play it here. And it looks like we might be digging for removal to try to use. And again, it's a good deal for us because we draw 2, they draw 1. They hit something castable. Maybe, but they don't want to cast it right now, which is fair enough. So let's hit them in the sky for a bunch and then play a Sunfall. And we've got the mana up to flip the Incubator during their end step. Well, that's a draw. Whether they drew that last turn or right now, it's excellent at either time. Flip our Incubator, see what Invasion of Vryn gets us. Temporal Cleansing, that's a big one. Probably would rather Temporal Cleansing than play Quende here. Just try to hit them twice. They are putting the dragon on the bottom of their library, looking for removal. Find a Thrill Seeker, not big enough to kill the 8/8, but it can block and shoot us for 3. Which is not bad. We're going to attack first. We'd rather have them shoot us for 3 in the face than shoot another one of our creatures. Here's our other creatures. Oh wow, they're just going for it. Stoke the Flames to the face too. We're down to 3. There's our board state. What do they draw off the top? Mountain, and that is gonna be game. We are now 5-2 in the money out of this draft, which is wonderful. Heading into the 8th round of Magic. Alright, here we are on the play for round 8. Great curve of aggressive knights. Pretty into it. Some excellent battles. They both come with creatures to try to flip the battle with. Skyclave Aerialist from our opponents. I'm gonna go for Invasion of Belenon. That makes it so they don't have a good block, because we're gonna get First Strike. And then I just have to hit it one more time next turn and it's flipped. Which will then make our Invasion of Segovia even better, giving us 2 2/2s instead of 2 1/1s. We're playing against blue-black. Invasion of Amonkhet is the play. That's a pretty great card. They draw a card, we discard a card. Once they flip it, they get a 4/4. That's a copy of any creature in a grave, I think. I'll drop this Order of the Mirror. Yep, a 4/4 copy of any creature in a grave. So like a 4/4 flyer that comes with a 1/1. Yeah, Invasion of Amonkhet's very good. I'm not quite going to have enough power to immediately flip both Invasion of Segovia and Invasion of Belenon. Still think I play it right now, though. If I immediately flip Invasion of Segovia, I get to convoke the Invasion of Xyrax, bounce their Aerialist, stop them from flipping theirs. Which I think is incredibly worth it. Because this is going to, again, turn into a really good creature. So convoke that out, bounce the Aerialist. Untap everybody that matters. Look at this board state. Good grief. This is turn 4. Opponent has a Timoret to get blocking with. And they'll recast their flyer. We draw into a Temporal Cleansing. I'm going to convoke Temporal Cleansing. What do I want to cleanse, though? Probably cleanse the Timoret. And they only have a 2/1 to block with. Okay, these are all our best attackers. Guess we are letting them flip Invasion of Amonkhet by not killing Aerialist, but that's fine because then we get to flip everything, right? Unless they trade Aerialist into a 1/1 or a chump block with it. All right. Opponent's going to have to do some real big stuff next turn. Oh, I didn't even realize I was first striking with Cavalier, so it was buffing the rest of the board. Oh, I have a 9/9 flyer, so they can't even flip unless they have removal. They probably have removal. And blue-black? No, that's a Skithiryx. Okay. Flip a Captive Weird. And a Halo Charged Scab. Block here, take 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. They go like 1 life. We just attack with everybody. Our opponent chooses death, which is fair, because this game was completely absurd, and it's going to give us our 6th victory. We are now 6-2, heading into the final boss, the final game of Magic for this draft, win or lose. Excellent work from this deck, whatever happens here. Alright, here we are for the final game of Magic for today. Opponent is on the play, and they've got a companion, Jegantha the Wellspring, in the command zone, so they're basically going to start with an 8-card hand there. I think our hand is fine because we've got a Captive Weird to flip, Stasis Field against one of their creatures, but it's not great. 4 lands in the opener is a bit high. Don't think it's worth the mulligan, but don't know if the hand will work out perfectly. We'll find out. Get our Captive Weird on the board, starting things off. Opponent starts with Thornwood Falls into Portent Tracker. They've got some ramp going. Alright, we hit a 2-drop. That's pretty helpful. If I hit any knights, that'll be great. Give it first strike, get some attacks in with it. If not, we probably got to put a wingspan on it to do some work. Alright, opponent is really ramping. Blighted Burgeoning plus Portent Tracker is a pretty sick combo. I think you're going to see a lot in the format. The Burgeoning making the land produce an additional mana, the Tracker untapping it, getting 2 more mana out of it. So our opponent is on the play, and they're ramping up. So we're very far behind in mana again. This might be pretty similar to our Rixmathies game. Our opponent might just play a million spells, put us in a bad position from there. Do I want to just Stasis Field this Tracker since they played a Burgeoning? Not in love with that. But I don't really have much else to do. I could do that, or I could Temporal Cleansing. Those are my choices. I can flip a weird, or I can Temporal Cleansing, or I can Stasis Field. Can't really wingspan unless I tap my whole board to put it on a tapped Cavalier. I think I'd rather Temporal Cleansing the Tracker and save the Stasis Field for something else. That does seem fine. Try to throw a wrench in their works. Yeah, and they're going to put the Tracker on the bottom. I think I'm going to hold off the Cavalier as a blocker. Not because I don't like trading into a 1/1 Death Touch. That would be fine. but it would give my opponent a good opportunity to flip the Mind Stinger, hit me for 3, and draw a card. I want to be able to block and trade if they try to draw cards off the agent. Invasion of Xerex, nice bounce spell. If I Wingspan, I'm going to be letting them draw cards. They've also got a 5/5 off of this Converter Beast, so they're going to be cracking back really hard. I guess I probably use Invasion of Xerex to bounce the 5/5 once they flip it. Yeah. I think I'm going to send the Cavalier into the sky, start sending in those attacks, and hopefully our opponent just starts beating us down for a bunch of damage instead of trying to draw extra cards. Be pretty fine if they just flip both their tokens, because I've got some good bounce spells to interact with those. Alright, well, they're going for the card draw here. I guess they do have the mana to go for the card draw and flip the 5/5. Alright, well. Not beautiful. Got Invasion of Xerex now. And flip the invasion. And then if I hit a land, I get to play Protocol Knight and Stasis Field in the same turn in the future. Could be game ending. I feel like it's probably a little better to spread my flyers out than go for the 3-turn KO, because Cavalier plus Vertex Paladin is also going to be a 3-turn KO. Right? Because hit for 8 after this. Yeah, we can still kill them in 2 turns if I don't hit their face and instead get a flyer here. Halo Forager, they can play our own Temporal Cleansing. I can't believe that card gets either graveyard. This format is so juiced. Yeah, that's super nasty. Just drawing a 2-mana 3/1's not much, so we put it on the bottom. Get our Wingspan killed. And now they even have a flyer to trade into Paladin. We have become very far behind. Let their card draw engine keep going or get 2-for-1s to kill it. It's not a bad draw, but I can't really play it right now. I mean, I guess I could, but would be super strong currently. I think I want to just play a Halo Charge Scab. I don't even know if I'm putting anything on top. I don't think so. I don't think a 4-mana bounce spell is going to be great. We're not going to have an easy way to flip that battle this time. Invasion of Kaldheim. They get to just draw a fresh new hand and play anything that they just discarded. Yeah, they can just still play the Vat Keeper and the Swamp, so that's just straight up draw 2 cards. And have a battle to flip. That is very good. Four 2/2s enough to close out the game? Definitely not. My other option is Stasis Field the flyer and play a Protocol Knight that doesn't even lock something down. Probably where I'm at. Wow, that back half of this invasion is incredible. One of the more interesting ones too, because it's not just a creature, but now they can just discard land cards to use them as removal spells, dealing 2 to any target, and draw cards off of them. Oh my god, now they just have Invasion of Regatha, they get to flip Invasion of Kaldheim, even though I've done my best to protect it, and now they have infinite card draw and removal spells on a stick. Every land they hit is now turned into 0 mana, deal 2 damage to any target and draw a card. Yeah, this format, this is just wild nonsense, the format. Our Invasion of New Phyrexia is super bad against their Pyre of the Worldtree. Super gad. I don't even know what that is. Probably stuck between saying good and bad. It's definitely not super good against Pyre of the Worldtree. So this format is incredibly swingy, so we're not completely out of the game yet. We still have a Sunfall in our deck to dig towards, but that is going to be our only solution. That is going to be our only solution to this board state. Aerial Boost does not do much. They don't have a reach creature, though. I can make Teferi. Teferi's going to get completely yeeted by their board state, but I can do it, so I think I do that.
Your time is short, villain.
We're gonna have 5 creatures attacking Teferi maximum. I'll have 4 blockers. If I'm -2, they could attack Teferi with everybody and Teferi would die. But if I +2, I'm just gonna mill myself 2 cards. If I hit Sunfall, I just lose. If I've milled it. I could just use no abilities. But I guess my board state would be a 4/4 and a bunch of 3/3s. So if they do attack me with everybody next turn to kill Teferi, at least I kill Thallid, Vatkeeper, double block to kill Dragantha. I kind of think I have to just plus, though. Can't really do the minus well. Just hope I draw 2 creatures, I guess.
Keep them guessing.
Or a creature and a spell. That's even better. Well, that was really lucky. Now I do have enough creatures to definitely protect Teferi. And then I can draw whatever I draw next turn and then plus Teferi before I play that card so that if I draw anything better, I can play it. Vanquish the weak off the top, kill our 3/4. So with the Elvish Vatkeeper, they can spend 5 mana to double up the Incubator transforms. Make them 4/4s instead of 2/2s off the flip. Attacking me with those. Nope, attacking Teferi with Dragantha. That's it, just attacking Teferi with Dragantha. Block with a 1/1 or 2 2/2s and a 1/1 to kill Dragantha. I think I just block with a 1/1 here. Because I'm going to have a 4/4 untapped to help block next turn. Is significant. Okay, draw Preening Champion. Let's see if we draw better stuff.
The best plans are improvised.
Well, Invasion of Rin's a very good draw. I can play that and still play Preening Champion. Just digging through the deck here. Hit Sunfall as well. Temporal Cleansing. Not bad. I don't think I'm casting it right now. Just gonna hold these in hand for Teferi next turn. pass. If we just keep drawing 2, discarding 2 off Teferi, we are going to win off that eventually. And I think I want to save Cleansing to kill a token, because it's just gone forever. It's just dead. Send out the Invasion of Regatha, get a Prowess. When their non-creature sources deal damage, they do 2 more, so the Pyre would do 4 damage whenever they discard a land. I cannot let them flip that. We'll put a 4/4 and a 2/2 on the 5/5. Put a 1/1 on the 4/4. Oh, I guess if they have a land in hand, they can ruin this block. I should have blocked with 2 2/2s on Dragantha. But then if they didn't have a land, they could kill multiple. Oh my god, and they top deck Vanquish? Kill my Preening Champion? Both players have had some very live draws this game. Okay, well, now we're all in on Sunfall. That was horrendous. These are not Sunfall.
What's next?
But they probably don't get to kill me next turn still, so... Play Quende Temporal Cleansing here. Still dig for it next turn. This is quite the final battle. This is a big, big game. I think I only have one more turn to live now. Yeah, because I pretty much have to chump with everything to not die to them throwing another land at my face. If I let 2 5/5s in, I'm dead to a land in their hand. And I don't have great blocks. It's almost all chumps here. And if they have a land in hand to ruin a double block again, then I'm not even going to kill anything. Yeah, 100% Teferi just has to draw Sunfall. We've got one final turn to do it. If Sunfall was in the top 3/4 of our deck, we got a shot. I guess because I'm all in on Sunfall, I should probably just stop every point of damage. Because I die in 2 turns either way if it's not. Do I technically dig farther by casting Eyes of Gitaxias right now? Or by doing it after? I think I dig farther. I mean, either way, I dig just as far. So I could just do this right now. Although if I Teferi first and I hit Sunfall, I have to discard Eyes instead of my other stuff. It's 5 mana to Sunfall, right? Do I have any more card draw in my deck that's more than Eyes of Gitaxias? We have Eyes of Gitaxias, and in the deck we have Sunfall, 3 creatures, and an invasion. Okay, so we don't have other card draw, so I'll just do this. Another creature, so I can discard that. And here's the moment of truth. Do we hit Sunfall, or is it in the bottom 7? Sunfall's in our bottom 7 cards of the library. So that is gonna be game. Don't think 2 blockers survives. Block, block, take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I guess maybe barely. Maybe it barely survives. Then we might be milling out. Send in the squad. We flip a blocker up. They have 2 lands in their hand. we're dead. No, not a double land. Don't do it to me like that. Heart of the World Tree is nutso card. Teferi's quite good too. Teferi's probably better in a vacuum, but if you can flip that Pyre, wins those top deck wars. Making the worst draw in your deck a 0 mana instant speed shock that draws you a card when you use it. That card. It's definitely the winner of that game. Ruined every double block we tried to find. Could not stabilize there. True MVP is Sunfall being in the bottom 6 of our deck, saving our opponent's life there. Where were you when I needed you most, Sunfall? I miss you every day. Alright, well, we are going to be 6-3 for today's Premier Draft of March in the Machine. Absolutely wild games as always. This format is just chaos. It's like a Tinkerer's Cube draft, just as a whole entire set. This deck played pretty well. There's definitely some pretty big underperformers like the Billy Rider and the Quende that I didn't love, but those were kind of the last additions to the deck. Halo Charge Scab did a little better than I thought it would. Just having a 4/4 was nice, but I think overall pretty much everything else did some pretty good work. Even the Invasion of Belanon was a lot better than I initially gave it credit for, because we do have Preening Champions and Invasion of Segovia giving us more creatures. So getting a wide board state with this is really nice. It was also pretty nasty with Invasion of New Phyrexia. That was super sweet. Sunfall was phenomenally powerful. It was also one of our biggest outs in some of our other games. One of the cards we were always just digging for and just like, oh, Sunfall could win. Obviously, that's just the biggest bomb in the deck. Invasion of New Phyrexia, very close second. These are both incredible cards that won us a lot of games. But this format is so powerful and so swingy in terms of how far ahead and how far behind that you can be, that there were a lot of games that we were so far behind that not even making like 4 2/2s could turn things around for us. So this really goes to show how high power level this format is in general, with the amount of incredibly powerful uncommons and rares and mythics flying around. So great work from the deck overall. It's definitely a bit below average. Not a bit below average. It's a bit below what it could be, because we have some more filler cards. Like Stasis Field, the aerial boost was fine. It did find a great flip with the Scab. Billy Rider, Quende. If we had some better removal spells, some better interaction, and maybe a better creature curve, there are definitely things about the deck that could be improved. The only reason I would say the deck isn't below average is because we do have Bomb Power with Invasion, New Phyrexia, and Sunfall. If we didn't have those two cards, then the issues with some of the weaker cards in the deck would kind of come into play a little more often. But yeah, overall, great record, 6-3. I'll take it. We are very much in the money. And that is going to do it for today's draft. And that's going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons very much for supporting this channel, and thank you for watching. If you're interested in seeing some more videos like this, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. And if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. Other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again for some more Magic Arena.